Prior to World War II, the Soviet Union accepted the surrender of the Japanese north of 30th parallel, while the United States accepted the surrender of the Japanese in the south. The 38th parallel was not meant to be a political boundary nor a division of country. It was merely established to designate areas of responsibility. So in May of 1948, this man, Dr. Sun Man-rhee, was elected the first president of the Republic of Korea. In September the same year, they appointed this man, Kim Il-sung, to be the first premier of Communist North Korea. He ran for approximately 46 years until his death in July of 1994. His eldest son, Kim Jong-il, then succeeded him in power. He ran for approximately 17 years until his death in December of 2011. His youngest son, Kim Jong-un, then succeeded him in power. This was the third generation of the Kim's family to rule over Communist North Korea, and marks the third generation of the Kim's family to rule over this country, and marks the despite negotiations and attempts to reunify the Korean Peninsula, on 25th of June 1950, the North Korea launched a massive surprise attack. This ensuing war lasted for over 3 years and cost over 2 million people their lives. Within the first month of the attack, the North Korean forces were able to capture most of the Korean Peninsula. Coalition forces were able to halt them, advancing to the city of Busan. Within the next 4 months, the United Nations Command conducted the Incheon landing, pushing the North Korean army back to the Yalu River, which is the border between North Korea and China, at which point China entered the war and aided the North Korean army in their war efforts. The war began to stabilize on 30th parallel. However, a permanent settlement has not yet been reached. On 27th of July 1953, the United Nations Command, the Korean People's Army, and the Chinese People's Volunteers signed an armistice or a ceasefire agreement. The white dotted line you see here to your front represents the Military Demarcation Line, or MDL. Under the provision of the armistice, all military commanders were ordered to pull back the troops 2,000 meters from the last point of hostile contact, thus creating a 4-kilometer wide by a 241-kilometer long demilitarized zone, or DMZ. Note the location of Seoul and its relationship to the MDL. We are just currently 400 meters from the southern boundary of DMZ and 2.4 kilometers from the MDL. This here is the city of Kaesong, the original site of the armistice talks prior to being moved to the Panmunjom, or what we call the Joint Security Area. Although the DMZ has become one of the most militarized locations in the world, the MDL consists of no fortification. It is a simple series of 292 yellow and black panel markers that run from coast to coast. On the southern side, they are labeled at Korean at the top and English in the bottom. On the northern side, they're labeled at Korean at the top and Chinese in the bottom. Inside the Joint Security Area, the MDL is more clearly defined by a series of white stakes that stand in 1 meter in height and spaced out 10 meter intervals. This marks the MDL line throughout Conference Row, and as well as a 17 by 5 inch slab of concrete in between each building. These are the areas we will be visiting today. Notice how the MDL winds its way through the middle of the DMZ and forms its finger inside of the Joint Security Area. Upon your arrival at checkpoint number 3, you will be surrounded by 3 sides of Communist North Korea. Your tour will begin here at Camp Boniface, then exit onto the MSR, or main supply route, also known as Old Highway 1. For over 50 years, this was the only stretch of highway that connected North and South Korea until the East and West transportation corridors were opened. However, this is still the only stretch of highway that leads up to the Joint Security Area for all armistice-related events. I will point out Guard Post 240, Operation Postulet, Taesongdong or Freedom Village, Gyeongdong or Propaganda Village, the Swiss and Swedish Neutral Nation Supervisory Commission NNSC camp, and the former Czech and Polish NNSC. I will now highlight a few areas we will be seeing today. First is the village of Taesongdong or Freedom Village. The United Nations Command is responsible for implementing civil affairs as well as security within this unique village. We also carry out our security company. We carry out our responsibility through a security company that guards this village 24 hours a day. During the day, they provide security for the residents while they work in their land, and at night they guard the village itself while the residents sleep. Residents do own modern homes over a large location of the farmland. However, they must be inside their village before nightfall and inside their homes with their windows and doors secured by midnight. 1,800 meters across from the MDL, from Taesongdong, is the village of Gyeongdong Propaganda Village, which obtained its name due to the fact that they had a large speaker system that broadcasted propaganda 6 to 2 hours a day. This propaganda idolized Kim Jong-il to be a great leader and invited the citizens from Taesongdong as well as the rest of the republic to defect to the so-called Village of Paradise until June of 2004. However, if some people were to defect to this area, they would find themselves very lonely, for this village is mostly uninhabited. However, we do see people here from time to time that work at the Kaesong Industrial Complex and help maintain the upkeep of each building and help raise and lower the extremely large North Korean flag. It has an approximate length of 31 meters. It is one of the largest in the world. This here is one of the second flagpoles to stand in this village. That is because in 1981, the Republic of Korea donated a flagpole to the village of Taesongdong, which happened to stand taller than the original flagpole that stood in Gyeongdong. So North Korea quickly responded by building an even taller flagpole. Today, the flagpole in Taesongdong stands over 100 meters in height. The flagpole in Gyeongdong stands over 160 meters in height. As we enter the Joint Security Area, I will point out the Neutral Nation Supervisory Commission and NSC camp. Delegations from Switzerland, Swedish, Czechoslovakia, and Polish originally formed this NNSC. The commission was charged with the investigation of all armistice violations occurring outside of the DMZ. We currently work with 3 delegations, the Swiss and Swedish that are here year-round, and the Polish delegates that come for biannual meetings. Upon our arrival at checkpoint number 3, you will be able to see the former Czech and Polish NNSC camp seen here on the right. And on your left, you will be able to see the North Korean People's Peace Museum, which was built under 48 hours solely for the purpose of the signing of the armistice agreement. Also visible from checkpoint number 3 will be the Bridge of No Return. The Bridge of No Return obtained its name near the end of the Korean War when Operation Big Switch and Operation Little Switch were conducted. The United Nations Command returned over 82,000 prisoners of war, while North Korea and China returned over 13,000 prisoners of war. These prisoners of war were lined up on either side of the bridge and given the opportunity to cross into a country of their choice. However, once they could cross, they could not return, hence the name. The bridge lies on the southern boundary of the Joint Security Area. All the blue buildings belong to the United Nations Command of the UNC, while the red buildings belong to the KPA, or Korean People's Army. Prior to 1976, this area was considered a neutral location, and both guard forces were able to move about freely on the southern boundary road. So North Korea took full advantage of this by building 4 communist guard towers on the southern boundary road, while the Republic of Korea built none on the north. This here is checkpoint number 4. Notice how it was isolated from the rest of the Joint Security Area and surrounded by 3 sides of Communist North Korea's guard towers. This here is checkpoint number 3. Soldiers working here at limited visibility of soldiers working at checkpoint number 4 due to an extremely large yellow poplar tree that grew in this area. So on 18th of August 1976, the United Nations Command dispatched a 5 civilian man work detail accompanied by a 12 security force. Upon their arrival, they were met by 28 North Korean guards. After 15 minutes, North Korean guards did attack. This fight lasted for approximately 4 minutes, but during this time, Company Commander Captain Arthur Boniface and First Platoon Leader First Lieutenant Mark Barrett were brutally axed to death. I will now point out 3 JSA soldiers that are visible within this picture. First, it is rather hard to make out, but he is here, fighting off 7 North Korean guards. Here you can clearly see the helmet of Captain Arthur Boniface that was killed in front of his own vehicle. And here you can clearly see a North Korean guard wielding an axe at a JSA soldier. Due to these unprovoked acts of violence, there was a special series of meetings that were held, and the decision was made that the MDL should separate both guard forces within this area. Due to these arrangements, there was no more acts of violence until the 23rd of November, 1984, when a Soviet citizen on a sponsored tour dashed across the MDL in an attempt to defect to the free world. North Koreans armed with pistols and rifles followed him in an attempt to kill or capture him. There were approximately 30 North Korean guards in the northern portion of the UNC Sunken Garden. The JSA Quick Reaction Force was quickly alerted and able to halt and outflank the North Korean main body. This firefight lasted for approximately 20 minutes, but during this time, KPA soldiers had 3 men killed and 5 men wounded, while the UNC had 1 man killed, Corporal Jang, and 1 man wounded. The Soviet citizen that did defect was protected throughout this firefight and evacuated back to Camp Boniface. This here are KPA soldiers that we will see today. These red armbands do state that they're military police. Under the armistice of all armed personnel inside a demilitarized zone, they must wear these armbands. However, the KPA no longer do so. They may come down on our tour today and ask for you guys not to communicate with them, verbally or non-verbally. We provide security and assistance for humanitarian operations such as the return to the remains of the Korean War, as well as the delivery of humanitarian aid to the north. We also provide security and assistance for dignitaries and heads of state, such as former President of the United States of America, George W. Bush, former President of the Republic of Korea, Lee Min-pak, Prime Minister of New Zealand, John Key, the former Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of Defense, Honorable Robert Gates, all seen here on tour at the Panmunjom. Just like these dignitaries and heads of state, you will be guarded by soldiers of this battalion. The soldier on your right is a United States Army infantry soldier. We served 12 months here. The soldier on your left is a Republic of Korea or ROK soldier. They served 24 months here. However, both soldiers must meet above average standards than original soldiers and have a military and clean record as well. It is due to all this that we're the most forward deployed unit on the Korean Peninsula, and that we stand face to face with our enemies on a daily basis. that the United Nations Command, the Republic of Korea, and the United States Army has given us our motto, which we so proudly state, ladies and gentlemen, we truly are in front of them all. Thank you.
Thank you.